is that if society as a whole understands and adopts the type of science that Richard and I are bringing out to the public now, which is still pretty fresh, cutting-edge stuff most people have never heard of, we will have interstellar travel. We will have teleportation. We will have limitless free energy. We will have anti-gravity. These are going to be commonplace things. And with it will come an increase in our spiritual and ethical qualities. So, in short, these prophecies about what we're going to be like become a lot more simple to understand when you realize that even if DNA did not change, the simple fact that we know this science is real, that we know it can't be suppressed forever, that people like Eugene Malov are not going to keep dying in vain, that those deaths are going to mean something, that price that he paid with his life is going to mean something. These technologies are real. They will be brought out to the public, and when that happens, there is going to obviously be a spiritual awakening, because people will realize the connections between energy and consciousness and how their own consciousness affects the whole. So I would totally not encourage you to be disillusioned with the great experiments. They're very important, and in fact, you probably don't even realize how important they are.
Well, I know they're important. I just want to be able to control it a little better, if it can be.
Well, the best thing that you could probably do is just to say, we want to generate energy for something positive to happen, something that helps the world, without attachment to what that outcome is. You know, I mean, it might not be as dramatic, and it might not be as like, see, I told you so, but just pay attention on the headlines the next couple of days and see what happens.
All right, let's go to the calls. All right, let's go to some of the calls, David. Let's go to our East of the Rockies line. Welcome to Coast to Coast. You're on the air with David Wilcock. Hi there.
David from Deerfield Beach, Florida.
Sure, David, go ahead.
Yeah, I like that name.
Thank you, sir. Extreme pleasure to speak with you, Mr. Noory. I became acquainted with your program about 6 weeks ago, and I'm absolutely hooked.
Well, the pleasure is mine, believe me.
Well, thank you. Your successes and your humility. David, I have two questions, if I may, please.
David.
You spoke about the 26 million year cycle and
right.
This energy force. Would you suggest it emanates from what we understand as a creator, or is this a total universal force?
Well, both answers are correct, actually.
Okay. Do you specifically designate a creator? I know you did say that.
Yeah, I mean, I know that, and I don't know if this is where you're going, but a lot of people wonder how does Jesus fit into all this?
Okay.
Apparently, from what I understand from this Law of One material that came out in the early 80s, which I think is the best channel material that was ever produced, where it's actually accurate, Jesus apparently, after the crucifixion, took on this consciousness of the galaxy, which is programming human life on all these planets throughout the whole galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a very, very significant event on this planet.
Yes.
Is there a creator? Yes. Does it appear to have set up a template for human life to evolve on any planet in this galaxy? Yes. Does it appear that life is a de facto standard throughout the cosmos? Yes. If we look at a line of sight between the Earth and the center of the galaxy, 99% of all that dust has the spectrographic signature of being living bacteria.
Mm-hmm.
That was done by the guy that co-discovered DNA, Dr. Crick. Do you have another quick question?
Yes, thank you. Processing, I have a book in the library called Mankind, Birth, and Species. I think it was came out in the 70s. And it spoke of this appearance of this new generation. We need to be aware of these children because they will be advanced.
Right.
The question, I'm 60 years old, and I've been able to read most of my lifetime. It's a gift God has given to me.
Okay.
I question the fact that we have this brain and we use so little of it. My conclusion is this, that lying dormant in our matter are all of these things and powers and abilities that we have lost to antiquity.
Okay, so what's the question exactly?
The question is this new period coming in. Is this a triggering of that? And am I
okay?
logical?
So basically, does this 2012 event activate dormant regions of the brain? And is that part of this so-called ascension process?
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely correct. So
Okay.
Thank you for that call.
Please, thank you. A pleasure, sir.
All right, David.
Appreciate you being on the program. 2012, how the Mayans. I'm still baffled, though, David, that those Mayans had the ability to do this. Now, here's another thing, and I don't know if you know this, or maybe we can tap into the Edgar Casey portion of you. What happened to them? Where'd they go?
I think they ascended, honestly. Some people may, at 2012, be able to do what these Tibetan monks have done, which is that they just kind of burst into light, and all that you see is this little pile of clothing and fingernails and hair.
I mean, they've just disappeared.
Yeah, I think that I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Now, some people say that they ran out of food and water and they just kind of evacuated the area. It's a little too weird for that to be the only answer, although that could be the answer. I'm not saying it's not.
Could they have gotten into some huge craft and taken off? Is that possible?
Anything's possible. I mean, they were definitely in contact with ETs that were landing, so it's possible, sure. West
of the Rockies, you're on Coast to Coast with us. Hi there.
Hi there, George.
Yes, sir.
Yes, David, this is Bill calling from Tucson.
Hey, nice to meet you, Bill.
Really intriguing program. David,
I'm glad you like it.
I'm currently doing research and writing a book tracing the sun worship of all the major religions of the world and literally examined hundreds of sun worship symbols.
That sounds like a very valid service.
And
good for you.
One thing I've noticed about all of them is they have a deep correlation in between. They all are cylindrical in shape, and they all have, for example, the ancient swastika, the ancient yin-yang, the Mayan sun god, the Aztec, the Incan, even the Celtic, in Hinduism, Islam, Buddhism, Shintoism, Judaism. I found the same symbols that all go back, and as far back as I can trace them, is the early Babylon.
So are you interested in knowing what those symbols actually mean?
Well, I know what they mean because I've traced them back to the Babylonian, Chaldean, and early Assyrian and Sumer civilizations.
Would you like to know what I think they mean?
Well, what I see in the crop circles is a fantastic correlation to these geometrical sun worship symbols. Are identical to these crop circles that are appearing all over the world.
Yes, that's totally correct.
Especially in the area of the ancient Celts there in Britain. And just wondered if you could give a comment on that. I'll hang up there.
Sure.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. You for the question.
Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, these symbols, such as yin-yang and so forth, represent dynamic movement of this hyperdimensional energy. Basically, when I say dynamic movement, I mean if you have a big pot of soup and you're going to stir it with a spoon, then as you stir it, the soup is going to move, not just the spoon. And when you track that movement, that would be dynamic movement. So when you stir up the ether, like now that we're going into this new region of the galaxy, there's a disturbance there. There's a vibration, and it has ripples. There was a guy by the name of Dr. Sergei Smelikov, and I know, George, you're really going to like this. Maybe another time we should do a whole show just on this, where he found out that 2012 is an imploding cycle. It gets shorter and shorter the closer you get to 2012, and every time we hit one of these ripples, there's a spontaneous change in humanity.
I mean, I got to tell you, dude, I can't wait to get to 2012 just to see what's going to happen. I think it's a lot more fantastic than I'm even willing to admit on the air right now, honestly. I'm willing to play it safe and say, yes, it looks like there's a DNA change. Yes, it looks like new people are going to be born. But if you really listen to what the Law of One said, it's way more than that. It's basically like that you have a meeting with a representation of divinity that's the most important symbol to you it could possibly be, and that you literally experience this spontaneous shift of consciousness and your soul, and an outrageous experience. All right, very good. Let's go to some of the calls now. Let's pick up with going to our wild card line. You're on Coast to Coast with us. Hi there.
Hi, how are you, George?
Good.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to run a couple quick questions by David.
What's your name?
Lamar.
Okay.
Yes, well, I've always believed that I was a wanderer, so I was been studying that for the past couple of years.
Excellent.
A couple of questions I have. Do you believe that some of the myths that have been embedded in our psyche have to be dissolved first for us to evolve? Such
absolutely.
Such as the belief that we need, government in order to survive, or we need an oppressive monetary system to survive, and that...
Do you think we should have anarchy?
No, not anarchy, but we see, not having the government does not necessarily mean anarchy.
Do you think that guys like you and I would just go out and fix the highway if it was up to us? whether it got done or not?
No, but what I'm saying as far as government, as far as nations, because we haven't, I don't think down through history they've been doing a very good job. If we look down through it, most nations